Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. In a few words, I'm your boy, Oversized Owl, aka Ryan White, back with a new podcast today. I got Jordan back. I got Cooper back. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. Thank you for having us.
Of course, of course. So really, I want to start off with some NFL stuff today. Baker, as you guys know, we got traded to the Panthers. Um, I think we kind of predicted it. I don't know if we
I I
did.
I I mean, we talked about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't think. Well, I'm pretty sure we predicted it, but if we did, you guys can let us know. But so yeah, Baker got traded to the Panthers for a fifth round. Um, Pretty solid trade, uh, mainly for the Panthers, I would say. Um,
Yeah.
but the Browns are still paying Baker 10 million, and Panthers are paying about 5 million. So he took a small pay cut to get trade, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, when we talked about last time, I think we both said the Panthers were a pretty good fit for Baker.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we were
So
talking about that, saying that they were a good team to pick them up
yeah,
and see see what they would do with him. Although they do still have Sam Darnold, and they also drafted Matt Corral. So, and last time I checked, it's an open spot. So you got three high performing quarterbacks competing.
yeah,
As much I would like to say Baker's the starter, you never know.
I know.
Although they are playing the Browns week one, so I think that might have a little bit of a factor for them starting Baker week one.
Yeah, I'm really, I really hope they start in week one. I mean, that'd be awesome. Like just to see
That would,
Baker probably tear
yeah.
up the Browns. Like
Yeah, just depending if they start Deshaun Watson or if he's allowed to even start, you know.
yeah. I mean, they
We'll
still
talk.
haven't made the suspension yet. I don't think.
Yeah, I think they're still going over all the credible, allegations and, finiting the correct punishment, time, whatever they need
Yeah,
to do.
yeah. I mean, I think Cooper said last time it's probably gonna be 6, 7 games maybe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think still, even with that, the Browns could probably make it to the playoffs. I could probably see Jacoby Brissett getting like 3 games,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
3 games. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, but yeah,
I
back
mean,
to Baker. I mean, he he's he's pretty good. I mean, he's definitely a starter in my opinion. Uh, so Jordan, do you think this is a pretty good trade overall for them?
for the Browns, they're not losing much. They're just getting rid of a quarterback, and they've already, put their foot down, and they're like, yeah, we want Watson instead of Baker. And so they traded him and got, a fifth round pick. So I think they're in a good position,
Yeah,
because according to some people in the locker room, they said Baker had just been childish and hadn't been the leader that they were looking for, and wasn't performing at the rate that they needed to, although he did have injuries, so you can't really make him, you can't let him, like, let that, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. You can't let that be a factor too.
yeah,
But I think the Panthers, they got a good guy out of it. Like I said, it's going to be a battle to see who's going to be the starter, especially since they traded for Sam Darnold not that long ago, and they drafted a brand new quarterback. So it's like,
yeah,
I feel like there's uncertainty there, but they have the weapons to make a potential starter.
yeah. What were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
yeah, I was just saying that the Browns, they got their guy, Deshaun Watson. Seeing him play for Houston, he was obviously the one carrying the team. They had JJ Watt, but on offense, it was mainly Watson and Cooks, and that's what, they actually were doing decently well. But, Houston still was struggling, and he was just looking to get out of there, not wanting to waste his potential
Yeah,
in an area like that. And so I know he was excited when he finally got the trade acceptance.
yeah,
Houston, they got a lot of picks from that. So, they're happy. The Browns are happy. Plus, the Browns just acquired Amari Cooper, so
mhm,
they got some good receivers. Plus, Nick Chubb still the running back, so they got a solid, got a solid team on offense for sure.
Yeah.
So they will definitely be a team to look out for this upcoming season.
Yeah. And I think Christian McCaffrey with Baker Mayfield too was like, I mean, it's kind
There
of
you
like
go.
it's a good
If
thing
Christian
because
can stay healthy at least, you know.
yeah, I mean, if he stays healthy, I think that's a pretty good duo right there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think so. Matt Corral, have you? Do you know anything? Is he? I mean, he got drafted third round, but could you see maybe a potential star in him? Maybe
Oh yeah. I from what I heard, I thought he was going to be first round until he got injured on his last game in college. You know,
Yeah.
playing for Old Miss. Like I think he has potential to be an amazing quarterback. Now, since he's technically a rookie, they're probably not going to start him, but he gets to sit behind Baker and Sam Darnold and learn, you
Hmm.
know. So he'll be learning for a couple of years, Let's say Baker starts for the next 2 to 3 years, maybe gets traded again, or Sam Darnold leaves or whatever. He's still sitting there, being this glorified backup, still receiving his payment, and he gets to learn behind two great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I think Carolina is solid with their quarterbacks for the next, at least decade or so. They just
I
gotta.
mean, especially if you can learn from like Baker and Sam's mistakes with their
Oh yeah.
interceptions. So Nikhil Harry got traded from the Patriots. Jordan, were
Hmm.
you? I think it's for a seventh rounder. I'm pretty sure.
Hmm.
Um, why did Nikhil Harry like flop in New England? Because he was drafted pretty high.
Honestly, it was a weird season when they drafted him. We needed receivers badly. At the time, Brady had already left. All we had was Edelman, and we needed some more people on the outside. And he was a standout in college, especially at ASU. And I guess Belichick saw something in him and drafted him. And then he played with, I think, Cam Newton for 1 year, and then he got to play with Mac Jones, but he just wasn't producing or creating the environment that we needed up in New England. And so they finally traded him away. And I saw this post the other day too, where there's a bunch of receivers that they took after Nikhil, like Debo Samuels, DK Metcalf. They all went after him. Like it was like there was a lot of potential that New England could have picked, and they picked him, and unfortunately he was a bust. So
Yeah,
personally, I was excited to see him go. He
yeah,
hasn't done much for us, and at least we get a draft pick out of it. And Belichick knows how to use those draft picks. So
yeah,
I think obviously like the Browns th- they weren't really welcoming him back. Uh, and even if they did, I don't think Baker wants to play a second string quarterback position. So I think it's a win for him, and he's getting out of the Cleveland Browns organization, who at the tail end of his uh, time there, it kind of got ugly. Like a lot of the fans just didn't weren't liking what he was doing, even though, like Jordan said, he was injured like half the season last year. So um, I like it. I think he'll fit in with the Panthers pretty well. I'm excited to see some new teams.
yeah. Definitely. I think Baker Panthers. I'm not sure if they're gonna make the playoffs. Maybe they might. Because I mean that's a topic in discussion of itself. So
hmm
could you guys see maybe them making the playoffs? I personally said maybe they could make the playoffs, like maybe go like 9-8 or maybe 10-7 maximum at the
Yeah.
most. But what do you guys think?
well, Carolina, honestly, I don't see them making the playoffs this year. I feel like they're gonna get close in a lot of games, but they're still trying to figure out that quarterback situation. We might have a couple games where Baker starts, then they put in Sam Darnold, and then who knows, they throw in Matt. Because like I said, it's a competition right now. So I feel like once they get situated with the quarterback position, then they can start producing. But it's just going to take time because they got to build up that system, put him in there, build a team around, their franchise quarterback. Although like they do have, DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, but there's only so much that they could do. Especially with McCaffrey, seems like he's getting injured every season now.
Yeah.
That's a scary fact.
Yeah.
So,
Cooper, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Jordan. Christian McCaffrey's pretty injury prone. I think they could. I mean, maybe they could make like a wild card
Yeah.
appearance. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs though. Just with the uncertainty of that team, whether they boom or bust, it's just too much uncertainty.
But I mean, I'm pretty sure they have a pretty decent defense. If I'm right. I mean, they drafted J.C. Horn last year. I think like in not 2022. I think it's 2021. They drafted J.C. Horn like number 6 or 7. Pretty
something
sure.
like that, yeah.
So I mean, I think they have a pretty solid defense overall. So maybe that could boost them up a little bit.
Yeah, if anything, that will be their strongest point is going to be their defense. If that, I mean, again, they're going up against high caliber offenses all around them too. So
Yeah. But yeah, so I
It's
think
always-
Carolina definitely a wild card next year. I'm not sure they're going to make the playoffs, but we shall see. In other news, Le'Veon Bell decided to go into boxing instead of being a running back like he was for the last about 8 years.
Yeah.
He's
There's a lot
supposed
of
to
money
be,
in boxing.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's supposed to be fighting Adrian Peterson
Really?
in a little match. So I
Clash of
mean,
the running backs.
yeah, I know it's gonna be a little fight between the running backs.
They've been watching a little too much Jake Paul, I think. That's what's going on.
Exactly.
I think they saw Frank Gore in the ring too many times.
Yeah.
But I mean, how good could Le'Veon Bell have been if he didn't hold out in like 2018 with the Steelers? Because I mean, he was he held out because of he wanted more money. I think he wanted like around 15 or 16 million per year. So he held out, and then the Jets signed him, and then he kind of stunk with the Jets.
Mhm.
So he only lasted about 2 years there. He got signed by Baltimore last year, but he only played like what 4 or 5 games. He never reached 100 yards. So, I mean, how good could he have been?
I mean, there's definitely potential for him to be good. I mean, if you look at Antonio Brown, he had potential to be one of the greatest wide receivers of all time, you know. And unfortunately, something happened up there in Pittsburgh. Something was in the air, and
Yeah,
they both like. I understand Le'Veon Bell wanting more money. I get that, but sometimes you just gotta take the paycheck if you actually want to win and you want to play. Unfortunately, because after a while, some organizations can't really pay you that much.
yeah,
Obviously, the Jets were able to make a deal with him, but of course, the Jets are the Jets, and he wasn't able to produce, or they weren't able to use him, as much as they wanted to.
yeah,
But honestly, think if he would have stayed in Pittsburgh for a couple years, he would have done amazing. I mean, especially still playing under Roethlisberger. I mean, and heck, if he was still playing, there's a chance that Najee Harris wouldn't have been drafted by Pittsburgh. That could be a whole
yeah,
different outcome where he could be somewhere else.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, I think he probably would have stayed around 1,000 yards at least. Um, I mean, he was like a 5-time, 4-time Pro Bowler.
mhm.
So, I mean, he definitely had accolades around him.
Oh, yeah.
So, Cooper, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, and he was such a good like two-way running back. Like he could run the ball too, like, but he could also catch. He had a lot of receiving yards, so
Yeah,
I think ultimately he was really good, and he had a lot of talent. Whether he wasted that going to the Jets or not, I'm not sure, but yeah.
yeah. And to another point, we've had some recent retirements with, Jason McCourty from the Patriots retiring.
Mhm.
Uh, I know Jordan, as a Patriots fan, That probably hurts you a little bit.
Yeah, no, I don't think we have any of the twins there anymore. The other one's in
Yeah.
Miami, and this one, he's like, you know what? I've won enough Super Bowls. I think it's time for me to retire. I don't blame
Yeah.
him. He's a lot of our players are so I don't say like they're so old, but they're, late 30s, they're getting up there. So they're
Mhm.
not, they're not like the new kids on the block. So I understand where he's coming from, wanting to retire. We'll see if his brother follows suit, but I think he wants to play at least one more year in Miami and see where that
Yeah.
goes after Tyreek Hill and Tua's down there now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I bet it's really nice down there. I don't
Oh
blame
yeah, the weather. Yeah, it's Florida. Can't go wrong.
And then we also had Richie Incognito from the Raiders. He was like a pretty sure he played left tackle for the Raiders. He's had some questionable history as well. So, and he went to Nebraska. So there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cornhuskers.
Let's go.
But yeah, so in a recent interview, I saw Justin Jefferson. He said that Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver in the whole entire league.
Like currently or
Yeah,
like
currently.
uh,
He said it was Devontae and then himself and then whoever else. I forgot. But I mean, there's definitely an argument for that, but would you guys say he's the number one wide receiver in the league or no?
I mean, I would like to say he is. I mean, but we have to see what he does this year because I mean he's always played with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we have to see how he plays with Derek Carr this year, and especially in Las Vegas, a whole new team. If he's still able to put up those numbers like he did, under Rodgers, then I think there's a good chance that you could claim that he's the best. But I mean, there's so many talented receivers. I mean, D Hop,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Stephon Diggs is, I think, a top performing receiver. Tyreek Hill was a top performing receiver. Granted, he did play with Mahomes as well. And,
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to the organization and the quarterback that they're playing under.
Yeah.
There are a few differences like Randy Moss. I mean, he was a stud in Minnesota and then he went to the Patriots and he just blew up. And then, you got Jerry Rice where he was at the 49ers and he was just on fire. And then, he got traded to go to the Raiders. And I mean, of course, he was getting older, but he goes to the Raiders and his numbers just drop significantly. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see what happens, especially Justin Jefferson making a bold claim that he's the number 2 receiver. I mean, it's going to be his 3rd year in the league.
Yeah, it's gonna be his 3rd year.
Like he did, I think I had him on my team last year. Like he did put up some good numbers, but that's pretty bold for him to assume, especially playing under what's his face at
Kirk.
Minnesota. Yeah,
Kirk
he's an
Cousins.
average quarterback, has the same amount of interceptions as TD passes. Like,
Yeah.
he's just average. So
Yeah.
we'll have to see.
I would say, I mean, so DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon, Justin, DK, Devontae. I mean, there's tons of wide receivers. So I mean, you can't.
I mean, look at Cooper Cup last year. Man was on
Yeah.
fire.
Cooper
Led
Cup,
the
Jamar
league.
Chase, all those guys.
Yeah.
Cooper, what would you say is your top, like 5 or
So
whatever?
I mean, like you mentioned just now, Jamar Chase had I think it was rookie. He got like offensive rookie of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
He had an amazing season, almost won a Super Bowl. But I mean, yeah, Cooper Cup had an outbreak year, just crazy. Even with a longer season, he put up some crazy numbers. But honestly, in my book, DeAndre Hopkins kind of dropped a little in the rankings just because
His injuries.
he's been injured and it's just uncertain with Kyler Murray targeting him, but him just not creating a lot. So yeah, I think Devontae Adams is definitely up there. Justin Jefferson is obviously a talented receiver, but it's a debate, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a debate. But yeah, I mean, so moving on to some college football stuff, guys. I'm not sure if this is recent news, but over the last couple of years, the horns down gesture is being penalized in college games. Um, this is probably it's raised a lot of people to be mad, and I understand why. I mean, it's pretty famous gesture. So, I mean, do you guys think this is probably not fair, or do you think it's just stupid? Or I mean, do you think is
It
it
is.
fair?
It's flat out stupid. It's like, what do you like? So you ban this? Okay, well, I think Boomer Sooner #1 is offensive. I don't want them to do that. Or
Yeah,
heck, OSU. I hate that. Like, nope, you can't do that. Like, it's just start. That's where it starts. It starts with the horns down. Then another team's like, well, I think this is offensive, or I think that's offensive. Like, being penalized, like, that's the stupidest thing I've heard. You should be
yeah,
able to like maybe I can understand on the football field like taunting, but like the fans should be able to do it. And they
yeah.
yell at the
And
fans.
is it just like the players doing it that'll?
No, yeah, the fans can do it, just not the players.
Okay. I was
Okay,
like, how are they gonna enforce that, right? So, but
but
yeah, I don't know. That's kind of dumb.
Yeah,
Uh, I feel like they should like obviously taunting, yes, but just doing this, it's a gesture. Like, get over it.
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't
same thing
say,
as Boomer Sooner. Like.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't say like it's not like a gun or anything. It's just like your
yeah.
hands. So I don't think it should be penalized. And
You know what? They can penalize it whenever Texas is back. Okay, so
yeah,
whenever Texas is back, they can penalize it.
well, I mean, to that point, Arch Manning signed or committed with Texas. So there's
That
been,
is true. They have Quinn Evers, who was the top quarterback in the 2021, I believe, draft.
yeah,
Uh, he committed to Ohio State, was on the bench, and now he transferred to Texas. And then Arch Manning, of course, still has a year of high school left, but has committed to Texas. There's a chance that they could be back, especially if I was a receiver and I saw that, like thinking, oh, there's a good chance I
yeah,
could get playing time with the top five, top quarterback. So that might help their player diversity and their rankings for sure. But it also comes down to the coach. They haven't had a really good coach in a long, long time.
so yeah. But their head coach right now, I think he was like the QB coach at Alabama or something like that, or the offensive coordinator. So I think that's kind of the reason why he went there. I think is because you know the coach is a QB coach, so he knows
Yeah,
how the QB thinks, which
yeah,
is, I mean, it's a good thing. So
it
I
is.
mean, go ahead.
It's like it's just. I mean, it's just like I said, it comes down to if the coach can actually coach his players and if the environment is right. But then you also have to realize Texas is getting ready to join the SEC, so they're gonna have to
Yeah,
play against Bama, Georgia, LSU, A&M, all the big teams.
yeah.
So we gotta wait and see what happens.
Yeah, to my question for their coach is, can you coach the whole entire like team, not just the offense or just
Hmm.
the QB? I mean, you still have to coach the defense, special teams, all that stuff. So
Oh yeah,
to me,
see
that's
what
like
kind
the
of
major
culture they
question
bring.
right now for Texas. But I mean, I could definitely see them doing well this season.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It always comes down to the defense. Like over the last
Oh
couple of
yeah,
years, their offense
that
has been pretty solid, but it's always their defense is just kind of falls short.
that's like the way of the world, and the Big 12 is everyone has high performing offenses, and then you just hope and pray that your defense can keep them past the 50, or
Yeah,
whatever.
but I mean, OSU had good defense.
They did have a good defense last year. It hurts seeing Jim Knowles leave and going to Ohio State, so we'll have to see. I think Ohio State should be ranked #1 when they come out with the rankings, but probably
Yeah,
be Bama.
yeah,
But Yeah, that does hurt, and especially losing our linebackers and a lot of our DBs. We do return the entire starting D line though, so
Yeah. And
that should
they came
be
up pretty
interesting.
big in a lot of games for us. So
Oh yeah, especially with Colin Oliver.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's good to see them come back.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll have to wait and
as
see.
well. So there's an Oregon Ducks player. I forgot what his name was. He was in a couple.
He
You know,
rock climbing. It was like rock diving or something like that. Accident.
yeah, he accidentally
Something
died.
Webb. Jet Webb,
Yeah,
Jackson Webb. Something
yeah,
with a
Webb
J.
Jackson or
I
something
feel
like
bad
that.
butchering his name, but
Yeah, so he was rock climbing like you said, and I guess he slipped and fell and busted or like landed on his head basically. So he basically died right there in that second. So I mean, it's pretty tragic to see something like that happen, especially you know, somebody who had probably a lot of potential left in football.
oh yeah.
So
I mean, it was his fourth year, as a tight end for Oregon, and he was looking to make, be one of their big playmakers this year,
yeah,
and potentially get set himself up for the draft next year, and it's just sad seeing him go so early,
yeah.
you know. So
So
just thoughts and prayers for his family, and I hope this awakens more eyes, like for professional athletes. Like, yes, still go out, have fun. You're still a kid, but don't put yourself in positions where you could potentially endanger your life or endanger other people's lives.
yeah. So yeah, condolences to his family, obviously. Um, but Cooper, you are a Nebraska fan, and me and you went to the
Yes.
game last year in Nebraska. And
Yes.
when I was looking around, I mean, those fans were diehard fans, and I know
Yeah.
as you are a Nebraska fan that you've been a fan for a while now, for like your whole entire life, basically, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, you guys got Texas's old QB. Um, what was his name? Thompson. I think is his last name or something.
Yeah. I can look at it.
Yeah. So you got a pretty skilled QB. You guys have had pretty solid defense the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, do you guys really think you can push it to maybe the top 25 this year, or what do you think?
I mean, hopefully we came pretty close last year. Last year was so hard to watch. We came so close every game. Like it was just down to like 3 or 4 points every game, and it was just frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
But I
We,
think yes, our defense is usually always like really good,
yeah.
but it's just our offense. Caleb Martin
Yeah, because
is
we went to the Ohio State game and I mean, you guys only lost like 7 points or something like that.
yeah.
So I mean, I think you guys probably have a chance this year, maybe.
Hmm.
Because I mean, you guys have
I
had the
mean,
same coach for the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, it's all
yeah,
right.
But
you guys should always come back to the Big 12.
I was
Yeah.
shocked to not see them come back to the Big 12 because I thought they were coming
Oh,
to us.
oh yeah, me
Yeah.
too. And then now all of a sudden, UCLA and USC are joining the Big Ten. It's like
Mhm.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
that's
interesting to see how this is gonna work because they're so far away compared to the Big Ten. Like how they're gonna redistrict everything.
yeah that
Because I was thinking about it in like the Big 12, like our farthest team is West Virginia, and now we're adding Cincinnati, which and UCF, like
and BYU.
there's supposed to be conferences based off wherever the area is, but now it's like it doesn't seem like that matters anymore. It's just like whatever the best team or whatever.
I mean, you could say it's maybe about money and you
Oh
know,
yeah, for sure.
colleges and businesses trying to make as much
True.
money as possible. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, to me, that really shocked me when I saw UCLA and USC go to the Big 12. I mean, Big 10. Like, really, really, bro? Like, that makes no sense whatsoever.
I feel bad for the Pac-12. It's gonna be like what the Pac-8. Like
Yeah.
Oregon's gonna be winning every year. You're just like, oh, there's Oregon, Oregon. Oregon. Like,
Well, I mean,
okay.
they had Utah last year kind of showed up a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, but it's usually always Oregon, USC, you know, like that's usually how it goes every year.
Yeah.
Now it's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting to see
Yeah.
if Oregon stays in the Pac-12 or if they want to go somewhere else.
I mean, I could probably see them maybe going somewhere else, but they're they're such a huge like university and they have such a big campus and um so I don't really know if they need more money to be honest. I think they're already pretty much set. So,
Yeah,
but I
we'll
mean,
just have to see and wait what happens with the Pac-12 because there's rumors that ASU and Arizona want to join the the Big 12 too as well. It's like, well, if that happens, then I
yeah,
don't know if there's enough people in the Pac-12 to really call
yeah.
it a conference. So
I mean, then that would be like the Big 14 or something like
yeah,
that. So, but anyway, so moving on, Texas Tech, uh, they've they've had some pretty solid players come around in their time. Patrick Mahomes being one of them. Um, they're actually planning on building a $200 million stadium for their football team. So, could do you guys think this could like attract more players and recruits to come to Texas Tech maybe, and maybe see Texas Tech become a bigger school with football maybe?
I mean, yeah, I can definitely see that happening. I mean, they're mainly doing it to, of course, attract more people, more players, bring in more money. You know, get the fans excited, potentially bring in more fans. Because I mean, Texas is huge, and they got to live in the shadow of Texas itself, so they got to compete, and especially with Baylor too, like there's so many schools that they have to compete with, so they have to kind of like bring in money and make things new and more relevant to get those people to commit to them you
Yeah,
know so
and I
I think
mean,
there's a good chance more people will commit to them.
yeah, I mean, there's not much around that area in Texas Tech. Like,
Yeah.
really, the main thing is Texas Tech University. That's it. So
Hmm.
it's gonna be hard to
Yeah.
attract players to the area. Um,
Oh yeah.
so, but I mean, Cooper, what do you think about Texas Tech overall?
Um, I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of college football. Mainly just my favorite teams. I'll be honest, but
Yeah,
I mean, I would say yeah, probably they're trying to attract more people.
yeah,
These colleges are basically big businesses. So
yeah. That's
yeah,
100% true. Um, and then last year, Georgia, champs, of course. Um, I'm pretty sure we all know a Georgia fan. I'm not gonna say his name, but um, could we?
Jay.
Do you think we? I mean, they could maybe repeat again. Could you see that happening? I mean, they have a lot of recruits coming in. But what do you guys think?
I mean, there's always a chance for them to repeat. Is can it happen? Is it likely to happen? I'll say no, but there's always a chance,
Yeah,
for them to win at least another one in the next couple years. They did lose a lot of their defensive players though this
yeah,
past season, but I mean, with new recruits, them Alabama, you know, OU, Ohio State always getting the top recruits. There's always a battle to see who's going to finish on top. Of course, there's always the Alabama bias every year. It
yeah,
takes Alabama to lose at least 3 games before they're completely out of the talk. Alabama can lose 2 games, and somehow I always hear them saying, "Well, there's a chance they could be number 4, number 3 in the
yeah.
CFP," and I'm like, "No." Like,
But I mean,
so
I think it's because they're in such a hard conference. Like, you know what I mean? Like Texas
they
A&M last
are
year.
they are in a hard conference, yes, but at the same time, if you like, I don't know what school can I use? Let's say, Oklahoma State, for example. They were getting up there last year. They were number, I think, 8 or 7, and they
Yeah,
lost to Iowa State, and that dropped them down all the way to like 13, 15 around that area.
Yeah.
And it was a grind for them to make it all the way back to at least the top 5.
Yeah.
Bama was number 1. They lost to Texas A&M and dropped down like 2 points
Yeah.
to number 3.
I
Like,
was ticked when OSU lost. Like I think everybody else was too, because we were doing really well, and then you dropped us like 10 spots. Like, I don't think that's fair.
yeah,
So
so there's always the bias, but I think there's a chance Georgia can come back next year. We'll just have to wait and see and how Alabama and Ohio State perform
okay.
and where they place them up there.
I think it's definitely interesting. I think it was like they did that because I think they wanted to see like how much they had to like give for him. Like how much people were willing to pay for him.
Yeah.
I thought they would have signed the max contract or at least proposed it last like mid playoffs.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting why they let another team kind of offer him a 4-year deal and then they matched it. And is he definitely going back to the Suns? Is it his discretion, or I don't know how that works?
No, so basically, um, the Suns had 48 hours to match what the Pacers gave him, and they did that in like an hour, or I mean a day or two.
Okay.
So now he's going back to the Phoenix, because I think he was a restricted free agent. Is
Okay,
what
yeah,
he was.
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he is.
but I mean,
Yeah,
they got Devin Booker back, DeAndre Ayton back,
yeah.
CP3 is still there. So I mean, they still have that championship team there. Um, I mean, they could probably go all the way again, maybe. Do you think? I mean, because DeAndre Ayton had a lot of struggles in the playoffs, this last playoffs. So, do you think it was worth it overall to give him that much money?
Obviously I think he went like second overall, maybe. I
Yeah,
think it was second
second.
overall the draft, and I think he's an amazing center. He's got size. He plays really well with the team. Chris Paul, he's a great pick and roll center. So I think it's a good move for the Suns just to sign him. And they signed Devin Booker to like a 4-year, like,
200 some $1 million.
yeah, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I think they could be in playoff contention this year. I think they just need, I don't know, maybe just a different mindset going into the playoffs. We
Yeah.
don't know, obviously, we don't know how many games they'll win in the regular season and whatnot, but I think the rankings kind of blew their ego up a little bit, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So I really hope they do make a playoff run, maybe get to the Western Conference Finals. But I love to see Chris Paul get a ring.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan, I know you're not a huge basketball guy, but I mean, when you saw Phoenix win in 2021, that kind of sparked everybody to,
Oh yeah.
rethink about what they were doing over there.
Oh
So
yeah.
now that they kind of have everybody back together, could you see them make another run maybe at the finals?
Yeah, of course. There's always a chance for them to make, another run to the finals. But again, it just comes down to if they can, work together and, get there themselves and, actually win the games that they need to win, because I feel like they would get close to winning, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
It just depends on, the other teams and how they handle, you know, their new draftees and how they handle their teams and working together and winning. So, but there's definitely an opportunity for them to come, to the Western Finals at least, make an appearance, something, so
Yeah.
we shall see.
And I
Yeah. I
think
mean,
Chris Paul is such a good leader. Like,
Oh
he
yeah.
really is. And I think the only thing with Aiden, like in the series with the Mavericks, he just kind of lacked motivation. And I know they subbed him out like the second quarter, and he had like, I don't know, like 8 points or something like that. And he just wasn't doing what he was supposed to in terms of like uh, just his part for that team. And that team kind of fell apart in that series, that last game. It was just hard to watch, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird to see like Chris Paul and them struggle so much in that series. Cause I mean, when you go back to them being the championship team and seeing such a great chemistry that they had, like to fold under pressure like that
Yeah.
is just crazy.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I'm excited to see the Suns come back. Um, you
Yeah.
know, OKC is coming up. We got Chet, Jalen, you know, Shea,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah, not
Um,
to mention our first round picks for the next decade. And
I mean,
yeah,
I mean, we're pretty much stacked to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so this season, Cooper, should we tank again, or do you think we should probably try and make at least like a run, a small run to the
I think
playoffs?
we should get like I say we kind of go through like half the season, and if we're doing really well, our team's playing together. Because I mean, we have pretty much our whole team back. Like Lou Dort was injured, and then Josh Giddey was injured, like we talked about earlier this week. And so, if we have all those pieces, then I think we can make a run. Maybe get that 10th seed, maybe ninth seed. But if we're not at that point, like midway through the season, then I think we should start tanking.
Yeah,
But I think honestly, we could just play super well this season, and then maybe use our draft picks as leverage for another piece in the puzzle. I don't know.
yeah. What do you think, Jordan?
I agree with what Cooper's saying. Like, there's a chance for us to, make it all the way to the playoffs. We just gotta actually produce. We keep falling short when we play against most of our opponents. We'd win a game but then lose two. You know, but after all these new draftees coming in and all these players finally having a couple of seasons under their belt, there's a good chance that they can make a run for it. So I think we gotta wait and see what happens.
Yeah,
But if they don't, if we can't get there, I think yeah we should use our draft picks and
yeah,
potentially use that as leverage to trade. I agree with Cooper on that for
yeah.
sure.
And I mean, to your point, there's been a couple of stars in the news recently that have been like on the trade block, like Donovan Mitchell and Kyrie and Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we want Durant back.
yeah, there's been that debate of
We
like,
would have to trade so much for him.
Yeah.
It would not be worth it.
I mean, there's been that debate of whether KD could come back to OKC. To be honest,
He
I probably
could come back, but I don't think he'd be welcome back
yeah,
by the fans.
I can't see it to be honest.
Not
but
after everyone
Cooper,
burnt their jerseys.
yeah, I know. I burnt so much. Like I burned like 10 stacks of KD merch I had. So, but yeah, so KD maybe is gonna get traded. Maybe not this year, maybe next year.
Yeah.
But to another point, Cooper, Keldon Johnson of the Spurs, he actually signed a 4-year, $80 million extension with the Spurs.
Yeah.
Do you find that shocking at all, or do you think it's pretty good?
No, I think it's great. I mean, you obviously got Popovich coming back for one more year, so I thought it was his last year. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think amazing coach. Everybody wants to play under Popovich. I feel like so
yeah.
he's just that wizard. So
He's kind of like the Belichick of football.
yeah,
Right.
for real. Yeah,
So, to be honest, I really don't know what the Spurs are doing right now. It
yeah,
looks like they're going to a rebuild.
that's what I'm saying.
So, because I mean, when you look at their lineup, there's like so many nobodies.
Yeah, and they just traded away their big star. So
Yeah. So I mean, I think they're probably in the same stage that we are, but we're probably a little bit ahead in terms of
I think we're
players
ahead of the curve a
that we
little
have.
bit. Yeah.
So, and it's supposed to be Popovich is last year, this year of coaching.
Hmm.
So maybe now I'm not sure why he's still staying there because I mean they're in a rebuild right now.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's good to see him wanting to teach these guys, you know, how to play and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so there's a little bit of fantasy football I'd like to go over with you guys for a little bit. Um, in terms of round one, round two picks, Um, so we've talked about a lot. Christian McCaffrey, he's injured a lot over the last couple of years. Um, would you take him like if he was just wide open and you were like the second, third pick and whoever else was taken first or whatever? Um, would you take Christian McCaffrey? Would you just not not take the chance?
Let's see. I think I would take him personally because I had him 1 year. I think it was the 2019 season. I had him and he was the top performing running back in the league.
Yeah,
The reason I would take him again this year, if I was second or third pick, would be because I feel like he has one more year to prove himself that he's a top 5 running back. That injuries won't stop him. Because I feel like after this year, if he gets hurt again or isn't putting up those numbers, Carolina's going to move on from him.
yeah,
You know, and then that might even open up a possibility for a trade. And he blows it up somewhere else. Like a Randy Moss. He was good on the Vikings and then went to the Patriots and just blew up. So
yeah,
I feel like I would still take him, but his credibility is starting to slip him a little bit. I probably would still take Derrick Henry over him.
yeah.
Maybe Aaron Jones, but
Or maybe
definitely
Jonathan Taylor.
or Jonathan Taylor. Najee Harris is looking scary
Yeah.
too. There's
What
a lot
about
of upcoming running backs, so
what about Damian Harris for the Patriots? He's looking pretty solid too.
he is looking solid, yes. But I feel like he still needs to prove himself. He needs one more year to solidify, at least for someone to draft him first round.
Yeah,
He just needs a little bit more under his belt to certify that guaranteed first round pick.
yeah. And Patriots, they got Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, um, forgot the other wide receiver's name. Um, but I mean, you guys are looking pretty solid overall right now. Patriots are.
Yes, we are looking fairly solid. I mean, it helps Mac Jones has a year under his belt now too.
Yeah,
We just gotta start building the team around him. He's following in the footsteps of Brady and being that pocket passer, but he's also at a young age where he isn't afraid to run if he needs to.
yeah, you can
But
definitely run. I mean, for sure.
you know, I think they're still just trying to teach him to pocket pass, save him for the long run. But
Yeah.
yeah, if they can
I,
definitely just start building a team around him, they'll be good.
yeah, because you don't want him to get like hurt for
Oh
running.
yeah. No.
Like that'll be the worst mistake of all time. So,
Mhm.
but I mean, do you think how much longer will Bill Belichick coach for the Patriots?
He's getting up there for sure. I can see him coaching. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of stamina to be a coach because I mean, you just walk around and you tell people, hey, this is what you want to do. I mean, I think the most you're doing is screaming
Yeah,
because he's gotten to that point where he has his other coaches, showing them how to do the drill, you
yeah,
know, being their mentor. He's just overlooking everything, really, you know. So I feel like he has a couple more years, at least 5 more years of coaching.
yeah,
But I can also see him retiring because he's made a lot of money coaching. He has 6 Super Bowls under his name, so
yeah,
I can see him just retiring and living with his dog and his wife.
yeah. He's
So,
got a nice dog. Not gonna lie. Kipper, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, he could retire anytime. I think everyone would respect it, but I think he could play it as long as he wants to, whether that's 5, 10 years. I
Yeah.
think he can go as long as he wants. So.
I mean, Jordan, what would be a guy that would like coach after Bill Belichick? Because I'm not a huge like insider
Yeah.
into the Patriots team. Who would you say would replace him?
I would love to say it would have been Josh McDaniels, but obviously,
He's not
he was
there.
waiting for Belichick to retire, but that day never came. So he took the head coaching job down in Las Vegas. So
Yeah.
um honestly, I don't know. I would have to assume if they didn't like get a big name, it would be either the OC or DC. They have Patricia back, but I don't think they would make him a head coach after he
Yeah.
kind of tanked with the Lions as their head coach. So that's a good question. We'll have to wait and see who they would
Because
choose.
I mean, his son is coaching for you guys right now.
There's a chance that they would make, the next Belichick the coach. I mean, that's a good option, a steady option. But
Yeah.
you also got to think about what about all the college coaches too, that big NFL spot opens up, who wants that job,
Right.
not naming names, but Lincoln Riley could flee again and go up there, or I would say Nick Saban, but I don't think he's ever going to leave Bama. He's going to
Yeah. There's
retire
no
with
way.
Bama.
Yeah.
But Dave Sweeney, like, I mean, Ed, what's it, Ed O, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, he
From
could
LSU.
potentially. I mean, Brian Kelly, like, there's so many Harburg. There's so many opportunities. Like, and I feel like if I was a college coach and I had an opportunity to go up to the next level and let alone coach the Patriots, I think a lot of coaches would take that
Yeah. I
over
mean, you
college.
you saw it work with the Cardinals. I mean, they
Hmm.
got Cliff Kingsbury from Texas Tech, and he's proved to be an amazing coach. So I
Hmm.
think that could probably work out for you guys, maybe. Um, but also, like in fantasy football, there's always been this question of, do you take a QB in the first round? Because for me, I've never taken a QB in the first
No,
round.
you never take a QB in the first round. If anything, QB should be one of your last things you draft
Yeah.
because there's so
So
much talent in the QB position.
that's what happened with me. I drafted Kirk Cousins like 12th round, and he actually proved to be a pretty solid QB for me, even though he did have a lot of interceptions. Um, but yeah, so I've always had that like mindset where I'm not going to take QB in the first round, no matter who it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what do you think, Uber?
Yeah. I think like the QB position, like they're the ones that have the potential to get the most points. I feel like so because they're pretty much controlling everything on the field. So I wouldn't take a QB first,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that could tank the most as well. So
Yeah, I remember one time, I think it was 2019 when, or 2018 or something, when Joey took Patrick Mahomes in the first round. And I mean, it proved to be a good pick because, I mean, the guy went off for like 50 touchdowns or
That was
whatever it
like his
was.
breakout year. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if like a Patrick Mahomes comes out, then maybe take a QB in the first round. But, you
Yeah.
know,
I still think classic. You get your running backs, you get your receivers. I mean, if there's always that one person that will take a quarterback in the fourth round, or one person who takes a Travis Kelsey in the fourth round, which I don't blame him.
but
Number
I
one
mean,
tight
Travis
end.
Kelsey, he's kind of like a wide receiver. Let's be honest. He
Yeah, true.
kind of,
He's a big wide receiver.
right. Yeah.
But
So, but I mean, I think when it comes to you, I mean, when it comes to me, I take running backs first, and then wide receivers, and then whoever else. I mean, last year I took Devontae Adams first round, and it wasn't a bad pick. I mean, proved to be a really good player.
oh
So
yeah, I mean, depending on how many you play with, like some leagues play with only 8 people, 10 people, 12. You know,
yeah,
it's just like if everyone's drafting the top 5 running backs. I think that opens it up for a reasonable choice. Like everyone chose running backs, you choose a wide receiver first round. You get the best wide receiver.
I think
You
it's
know,
more fun we have like more people in the league because then it comes down to those small players who get like a touchdown and like one
oh yeah,
catch. You know, So
And then it's also, I mean, of course, it's always fun to have, less players because I played in a league. I had 3 leagues last year. I had a league where there's only 4 people in it, and
yeah,
all the teams were stacked. So it just came down to, who slipped up, who
yeah,
didn't make that one touchdown or one
yeah.
catch.
I love fantasy football, man. Whenever I
That's
get
it's
old
always
and like I have tons of money, I'm just gonna bet on fantasy
just bet
football.
on anything. Yeah,
But
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'll do the same.
I mean, that's it for the podcast today, guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on. Of
Yeah, thanks for
course,
having us.
um,
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
gonna link down below the Twitter accounts of all three of us. So if you want to go check us out, go down below and click on that. Um, Anything else you guys want to say before we head out?
Horns down, baby. Yeah, all I gotta say.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. If you guys can, please do subscribe, follow for more, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Peace.